Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 15th day of September 2020. I don't even know what month it is anymore. We've been hunkered down since February 2nd. I don't know. I'm an herbalist. When I saw what was going on, I thought, oh my goodness, we're going to have ourselves a pandemic. Sure enough, we did. So I just told my husband, and I went back and looked at my day timer and saw, I thought it was more toward the end of February. So did he. It's like, and I'm like, no. So we've been on kind of a every 2 week schedule, or better if we could. We had some moments there where we were refurbishing the tractor. And so we had to go out and pick stuff up a little more. So sometimes we were going out once a week, but we tried to limit and tried to get everything on the same day so that we're not, going out to the store on this day and then, tractor stuff on another day and feed on another day. Then the chickens started producing again and we started selling eggs again, and we do that every 2 weeks. And so we try to keep our shopping on the same day, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, but we have tried very, very hard to stay as safe as possible. We still wear latex gloves when we go out to the grocery store, as well as a mask. And anytime we're around anybody, we have a mask on. So I don't care if we're outside or inside, doesn't matter. People need to wake up. This is not what you think. And I think that the guidance we've had has just been pathetic. I think that the CDC has been so suppressed in what they can tell us. It's just, it's maddening. And to me, it's criminal. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward, though, when we can get this particular, we can shift to a different mindset in the government than what we have right now. Because what we have right now is interesting. And not in a good way. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started and take our first three cards. I'm going to take them randomly again. I'll take the 13th one each time, but I'm just going to go ahead and quickly lay them out. Seven of Pentacles. A good day to take stock. It's the middle of the month. Make sure bills were paid and all that, Ooh, we have the Devil. Being a slave to ego. And the Queen of Pentacles. A woman in authority who is benevolent and kind and compassionate to other people. We might need a fourth card, but we'll see. If not, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the runes, and we'll do a geomancy rune to close out with. Well, I think we're going to look upon this as, you know what? I'm going to put the 7 in the middle. Instead of the major arcana card, the Devil, we're going to put the 7 in the middle and take a look at that. Because I really think this is about maybe an issue of being able to be compassionate versus self-driven. In other words, service to self or service to others. In how you go about your life. But here we have the 7 of Pentacles. Pentacles is the earth element. And so it's really all about our material presence and form, no matter what that is, whether it's the human body, whether it's our work, our home, our family, our tradition, the legacy, the society. All of that is considered is part of the earth element. And so with this guy, I've always said this reminds me of my husband when he's standing out in the field, just sort of looking, thinking, he'll have his shovel with him, and he's out there irrigating, and he'll have his shovel there, and he'll just be leaning on it and just looking around, thinking about stuff, about what he needs to do and all of that. But basically, when you get to a 7, what you're doing is think the scales. And so he's basically that resting point with the 2 pans here. He's waiting for everything to just come to rest. And basically that's what he's doing. He's allowing things to come to rest as he's sort of gathering up his harvest for the year. Just basically taking stock of what he's got and what he's going to have, going forward. What is his foundation? What is his security? And what provides that? We can talk about material security, but it's also our sense of security. Our feeling secured, not just the tangible, expression of it, but how we feel inside. When we're a slave to the devil, the 15th card, which aligns with today's energy. You're talking about a 6 energy here. And so where does your attention go? Does it go, is it informed by spirit or is it informed by ego? And what you have here is typically thought of to be a slave to desire. You see, we have our goat-headed Satan, winged Satan with the horns and the inverted pentagram. Now, the inverted pentagram gets associated with the devil, but really all it is a focus into form and a focus into the material or ego side of life. And theoretically, that needs to be guided by spirit, but often it's not. Here you have both Adam and Eve in their nude form, each with their own respective tails. You've got the pomegranate I think it looks like a pomegranate on the end of Eve's tail, and you have an oak leaf on the end of Adam's tail. But if you look at the as above, so below, you see the same one with the magician. Only, his light is pointed to spirit, basically. Whereas you have the torch here in the devil's left hand, it's headed down to form. And so it's the expression. So you can think of it that way. You can think of it maybe as the expression of will in form. Is it informed by spirit, or is it just the ego that's informing the will? And here you have a slave to that. His right arm is sort of up to spirit, but not high. It's just like down here. So it's a half-baked attempt, right, at acknowledging the creator. And the creator within form. But clearly the devil wants to take that over. And it's not, of course, a devil figure that we're talking about. It's really the devil within, or the ego within. And really you can look at it as a service to self kind of experience. If you're a law of one aficionado, if you're aware of that channeled text, it's I think it's 4 volumes or something. Anyway. But that was done, I think, in the early 80s, and when a lot of these channeled texts were coming out, and I think you had the Seth stuff that came out first, I think. And then somewhere along the line, the Course in Miracles was channeled, and which is fascinating. If you've never done the course, I recommend it. It took me 30 years to finish it, but I finally did. And it's really quite profound. I'm not Christian, so it's really written to Christians to realign how they see Christianity and to clarify what some of it meant. Because over time, things were rewritten and to suit someone else's needs, and things get lost in translation. And so maybe some meanings are invoked that maybe really aren't there. I don't know. I'm just sort of coming back at it from an observational standpoint. It's like, okay, why are they talking about this? Well, I seem to remember certain things, about it. But I don't, have any real firsthand knowledge. But at the same time, I think that it was just an interesting way to make people understand that we are one, and that in spirit we are in this collective consciousness, and that miracles occur all of the time. Learning to see people as the other side of self, as a brother instead of as the other to be afraid of. That's really invoking this. Unfortunately, they the raw, in terms of the law of one, the raw group would have talked about this in terms of being self-oriented and unable to see the effect you have, or unable to have compassion or empathy for others. It's really all self-driven and transactional. I mean, we're seeing it playing out right now with the impeached guy in the White House. Purely service to self. There's no awareness of anything or anyone else besides his immediate needs. And if he's aware of anyone else, it's to simply further those needs along. So it's a really eye-opening, view of this whole concept. But then you come to the Queen, and I love this particular Queen. I love her the drape here down beyond her crown here. I don't know what you call that, but I just think this is a gorgeous Queen. I love her throne. It's so earthy looking, and Pentacles again is the earth element. So we're talking about issues here of form today with this reading, and with the 7, we're trying to take stock and let both sides of the equation settle out: service to self versus service to others. She holds the pentacle on her lap, but she's not hanging on to it like in the 4 of Pentacles yesterday with the King. You see abundance all around her. You see some mountains in the background. The alabaster mountains in the background. I love the garland overhead. It's just beautiful. All the flowers, all the abundance. But when you think the Queen of Pentacles, you think the Earth Mother. And you think about someone, from a rune standpoint, you would think Birkenau. And you would, and to me, this Queen embodies the essence of Birkenau, and that's fertility and childbirth and compassion and love and harmony and protection of the family. Protection of the family unit, and whether it's the immediate family or society at large, it's still a family unit if we're all one in truth, right? So I really think that this is a great reading for thinking about, do I serve myself? Am I self-focused? Or am I aware of the needs and the needs of others? Am I compassionate or am I selfish? Do I even think about other people, or am I simply, all about myself? Let's just do one more card though, just to see if we can get a little more clarification maybe on the direction of it. Or just maybe further definition maybe. Doing pretty good on time, so before my computer freezes up on me here. It's not the computer though. It's just the we got another Queen of Cups. Yeah, emphasis on compassion. You see the cherubs on her throne. Look at the ones up above there. And you see how her cape just sort of merges with the ocean rock, the beach rock below. And essentially, her throne is right at the water's edge. She holds an ornate chalice in her hands, representing love and compassion and empathy. So I think that that's the direction that we need to go today, is in the direction of empathy and concern and compassion for other people. As if you want to bring this down to the biggest issue we've got right now, is whether or not one wears a mask when one is around other people. The virus is everywhere, and the only way that we make that not be so, that it burns itself out, is if it doesn't have any place to go. That's the reason for the mask. If you wear a face shield only, you're not protecting anyone. And you're not protecting yourself either. Maybe from splatter, but beyond that, no, you're not really protecting yourself from the airborne virus because it's airborne. The impeached one said it in his interview with phone interview with Bob Woodward back on what, February 7th, after which he's telling us, oh no, it's fine. And somewhere shortly after that, he also says, and by the way, you know, the kids are really affected by this. So we have all this on tape. And so every time he lies, he should hear this in the background on a loudspeaker, you know, his own words, these tapes, which I wish we would have had before now. But we have them now, and we can hear him say this stuff himself. So, again, service to self, no ability to take stock of anything, and be compassionate and think about the bigger picture. Think about the kingdom, in other words, like these two queens can do. Pentacles in terms of passive or active influence. Pentacles and cups are both passive, whereas wands and air would be active. Aligns with the feminine side of, and I don't mean female. It's feminine polarity versus masculine polarity. Air and fire would be masculine polarity. So you're really looking at the strength of the divine feminine within with these two cards, as opposed to the devil card. And I think that this is what will win out ultimately: compassion and empathy and a realistic approach to saving people, you know, empowering them to save themselves, getting everybody on board together that if we could just squash it out, give it no place to go, then it'll burn out much quicker. And instead, see, we've had, you know, super spreader events where people are becoming ill. I read that, and I haven't heard any more, but I read that one person died after contracting it at Sturgis. It was a guy, I guess, in his 60s. I don't know, you know, it was so simple to do. And he knew. He knew back in January, possibly even before that, in 2019. He knew, and he lied. And now people have died. And we're almost at 200,000 people. Can you imagine, had that not been the case, can you imagine if we had had a queen, or queenly compassion anyway, where we might be now? But we're not. Thanks to the short-sighted ego of the devil, who thinks only about himself, views everything as transactional. You know, I guess the last conversation Woodward had with him, we were watching Stephen last night and he was being interviewed, and he said, well, the last conversation, you know, he's talking about, you know, Woodward's trying to say this is not going to be a good book for you, basically. You know, I'm pretty tough on you here, and he is. Well, you know, yeah, but the economy's good. No. What they've done to make it look that way is that they've manipulated the stock market to make that number artificially high. But trust me, when they stop doing that, it's going to go right down to nothing, right? Or severely. It's going to severely decrease. We're going to be like we were in 2008. So, or maybe even worse, who knows? You can't artificially inflate something for so long and not pay the piper later on. And this notion of doing a deferment on the payroll taxes for federal employees and military and all of that, you're going to pay the piper come December. So all that money you didn't pay in, you're going to have to pay in then. Right? So what's the point? Is it to make him look like a good guy when in truth, you know, it's like, oh, I don't have to pay in. But what you're not paying into is your Social Security and your Medicare. You see, that's what you're not paying. Oh, I'll take it from the general fund. Well, what's that? He's given so many tax cuts that and I love it, he's going to deal with the debt, right? We're like $1 trillion, $3 trillion. What is it? Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like I've never known anyone who literally says the opposite. It's like he wants everybody to believe this when the opposite's taking place. Every single time. And if you don't think critically and start looking beneath the surface and really look at it, then maybe you believe him. And he's describing this very sunny outlook when nothing could be further from the truth. So, Perthros the rune today. 14th rune of the Elder Futhark, a 5 energy. Change, the unknown. It means fate. This way it's a cauldron. This way it's open to death. This way to rebirth or birth. But who manages our fate? Is it spirit awareness where we understand what the heck is going on? We can step back and see the bigger picture like with the 7. Because that's what he's doing. He's stepping back. He's going to take stock. He's going to look and see what he's got, what he still needs to get, right? In preparation for the winter, right? That's really what we're talking about here. Does he think only of himself and not do this and just, go out and play and not pay any attention to the harvest and, I'm just doing my own thing? Or do you think about others and the safety and security of others? Because when you're talking about Pentacles, again, you're talking about material security as well as, and when you bring the Queen of Cups into it, you're also talking about the emotional side of things, where feeling secure. I know I don't when I go out and about, and I know we went to a gas station that I won't go back to now. No one's in masks, the attendants aren't in masks, and they're right up next to the car trying to hand me a receipt through the cracked window. I should have had the thing up, and I didn't. We were in the truck, no air conditioning, right? And it was so hot that day. It was like in the 90s, and so we had like one day. It was like last Thursday. We had one day of no smoke in the afternoon, and so we jetted out to get some gas for because we had to fill up some cans for the lawnmower and the tractor and whatnot. And you get into autopilot. You don't think. I had a mask on, and my head was turned away from the window. But this guy got way too close, and my husband should have controlled the situation better, and he didn't either. So, but you really have to be careful. We don't know if this guy's got the virus. We don't know anything. He's young. Maybe he's not showing any symptoms. Again, are we able to think beyond ourselves and do for others? And I think that the virus alone has been something that has brought that concept anyway into focus. What do we do when everyone's needed? Does everyone respond, or do they stand back and defy what needs to happen to protect everybody? Again, had we given the virus nowhere to go, we probably wouldn't be dealing with it right now, at least not as much. And going into the fall where you have the round 2 of it, we would have been prepared. But now we're still fighting the initial outbreak of it. And so that will merge with the next one, and when it kicks into gear again, because they're saying that it will. Again, who controls our fate? Do we do that collectively, or do we do it in a way that harms other people? Our geomancy rune for today, let's see what it says. Oh, well, okay. It's I was thinking it was Albus. It's not. It's Fortuna Major. So let me go ahead and just find it rather than drawing it out for you. Is this it? Nope, that's minor. Well, all I have to do is just turn it around. Fortuna Major is this way. Fortuna Minor is this way. So this will begin our geomancy reading that I'm going to include on the Esoteric Influences post that I do for the blog. I do the video first, and then I put all that into the blog copy of it, but then at the bottom I've been including. I was doing a tarot card and then a geomancy room, but I decided instead just to do a geomancy reading each day. I don't know. I kind of like doing that, so I just sort of changed up a little bit there. It's always a work in progress, you know. It really is. But here we have Fortuna Major, which is greater fortune. You can see it's just sort of funneling down into form, basically. This is arranged in fire, air, water, and earth. And so, really, it mirrors the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups in that you've got focused intention. When you see the single dot, that's an active principle. The two dots are passive. So fire and air are passive, and focusing into compassion with the water element, and then having that then inform the earth or material presence. But the focus is basically on how do we maintain a greater level of fortune? Do we do that in a way that the will is all that's important? Because when you turn this around, you have Fortuna Minor, you have smaller fortune, okay? So it's a little more transitory. Or it could be maybe progress along the way, but you're not at the end of it. You're not reaping the harvest here, okay? When you keep will and intellect a little more passive, then there's a less likelihood of the devil coming in, of that aspect of self, the ego coming in and letting will and rationalizing that whole will with the air element, having that be your focus. And so you're only going to have so much success that way. Eventually the chickens will come home to roost and begin crowing. My roosters crow, I don't know, 5 o'clock on. One morning it was 4:51. I know because I looked. Oh my God, you guys. And they sleep right outside my bedroom window. We don't have an actual house for the roosters. We're going to have to put something up though for winter. And so we'll put it out here in the chicken area, which is right by our bedroom. The chicken runs right outside anyway. We wanted them close, so that's what we did. We stuck them right out here in the backyard, and the only place we had was right outside our bedroom. So anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think that when you think of it in terms of greater or lesser fortune, what really gives you the greatest fortune of all is being aligned with others in shared purpose, shared direction, and compassion, being able to see a situation like the pandemic, and now that we of course know that he knew exactly what this was and how bad it was, to then come out and tell people a few weeks later at a rally, and ongoing for I don't even know how long. I don't even know how long he did this, but it was a Democratic hoax. It's not real. You don't have to worry. When he knew full well that we did. I mean, what kind of a man does that? What kind of a human does that? Or is it the devil within? I don't know how someone who has the ability to see the bigger picture, which a president is supposed to be able to do, to understand what people are telling him, that this is bad, because they'd been telling him. But oh my gosh, he's just simply about money. And so, that's going to impact people, strip mining the world, basically. So we can't let that happen. Got to let the strip mining go on, right? And the fleecing and the grifting, all of it. It's going to interfere with all that. But he was told that this was going to be the most significant thing that he's ever dealt with. And, he then blamed it on the Democrats, and still is, in varying ways. Now the latest is he's going after the governor of Nevada. But the governor of Nevada wants to keep his people safe. Just because the impeached one doesn't care about us doesn't mean that the governors don't care. They do. And well, some don't, it's clear, but I would say probably most of them do. I don't know how you can watch this happen to people. And now we know that it's more than just a flu type virus. It's affecting people long term. So what kind of we're going to have to do something differently with our healthcare system to just deal with this if the worst ends up happening. And we've got all these people, I guess they call them long haulers. That takes compassion. It takes understanding the bigger picture. It takes understanding that we all need to come together in shared purpose. And yet this man has not been able to do anything but the opposite and convince people that it's a scam, it's a hoax, it's not real, when it is. I don't know what to say, I think that we're just in a very bad place and, governed by someone who is this instead of by someone who's this. I think we have the ability to change that in November. Whether or not we will or not, I suppose. I can't imagine we won't, but I couldn't imagine what happened this time. And we've paid such a price for it. So I hope that that's clear now. I hope that there's nobody confused, but I know there are. But that's what we've been dealing with. It's what happens when the guy in charge lies to everybody all the time so that what he wants to happen can happen behind the scenes. See, that's what the thief does. They get as much as they can when you're not looking. And, all you're left is with nothing. Well, hopefully we can end this before we get to that point. So, but I don't know. We're not going to know until they go back and take a look at what happened, and see what needs to be remedied, because there's so much, I don't even know where you start. So anyhow, I guess that's it. We'll talk again tomorrow. Thanks for coming by, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, wear a mask if you're around anyone at all, inside or out, and blessed be. Let's get through this together.